Alright, sorry for the delay, but hello everyone. I'm Coco. I am here and ready to present to you guys some really useful tips and tricks for when you plan to play Abiotic Factor. So let's just get right into it. I don't want to waste any of your time, and I suspect that this video might go on a little bit longer than normal. I'm doing it in the form of a live stream though, so if anybody wants to join in the chat and ask questions, I will answer them. I've done a good handful of playthroughs so far, and I've taken some notes and I've figured some things out, and we're gonna talk about it. So, when you're going to start a new game, you can just do whatever. So we're gonna call it the server whatever, because I'm gonna delete this one anyways. We're gonna put the password as bucket, because it's just for me. Or I could just do single player only. That was. Alright, so start game. It's going to take you into the character creation screen. The character creation screen... Oh, before I continue, I should probably make a disclaimer that this is for the alpha playtest only. I'm pretty sure a lot of this information will still carry through to the release of the game, or at least into the beta. But a lot of this might change because, you know, this is still very early development in this game. And I also want to say that I have personally loved Abiotic Factor. This game is amazing, and I recommend that anybody who sees this should try it. It's a really fun game, especially when you play with other people. And even by yourself, it's pretty decent. The story is really good, everything's really well done, so I'm going to try not to give you as much spoilers, but I am going to tell you about the game and some of my min-maxing concepts, you know what I mean? Like, I like to try to do things as efficiently as possible. So first we're going to talk about the roles that players can fulfill in a party. You can have a party of up to 6 people in a group at a time. Now that means that 6 people can be logged into the server at a time, and I'm pretty sure you can have more than 6 people if you rotate people out every so often. So only 6 people can be on a server at a time. They might change that in the future, but currently a party is up to 6 people. So while you are in a party, you will have a couple of different roles that you would choose to fulfill. You have the most important role, the crafter. And this person who is the crafter is the person who's pretty much going to stay at the base, being a homebody. Amongst my friends, I have nicknamed this role the housewife, because they just stay at home, they do arts and crafts, they cook and clean, they grow a garden, and that's pretty much it. They don't really do much fighting. They just kind of sit back in the base and make sure that they're crafting everything. And so their primary objective is to focus on upgrading everyone's gear, making sure everyone's weapons are good, making sure that everything is solid, that we have all the tools that we need, and they're preparing the base, preparing food for the rest of the party. You know, they're basically the homebody. Now, the person who is going to be the homebody, personally, in my opinion, I think the best role, the best available job to pick for the homebody is the theoretical physicist. This is going to give you 8 starting points. It gives you 3 to throwing and 3 to crafting, 1 to sneaking, 1 to reloading, and 1 to construction. Now, typically, because this person is going to be a homebody and not really too good at combat, having ranged options is really good for you, because you're not going to want to be up in the fight when you're moving and when you actually do leave the base. The +3 in crafting, though, is pretty much why you take this position, because everything else is just extra. The +3 crafting is really important, because when you start a new game file, you want to try to get to the bench upgrades as soon as possible, because the bench upgrades are really good. They're really nice, I'm not gonna lie. But we'll talk about the upgrades later. So the homebody, they focus on cooking, they focus on organization of the storage in the base, and they focus on crafting, making sure that all of the stuff is built that you need. And because of that, having the level 3 crafting right off the bat really helps out, and making sure that this person is also the designated crafter. So if anything needs to be crafted, this person should be the one to do it, at least until they max out their crafting stat, and then someone else can do it. but you want to get the crafting level maxed out as quickly as possible, because there's some pretty nice benefits to that. But we'll talk about that later. Aside from that, if you are trying to be somebody who is a melee user, somebody who is meant to primarily be for hunting or for killing enemies, and they double as a hunter-gatherer kind of thing. Like, you pretty much go out, you kill things, and you collect loot items, you collect the things that you need from the materials that spawn throughout the map. So the best options for that, I believe, are the lab assistant or the kinesiologist. These are the two really good options for that. For the melee users, kinesiologist is probably the better option. For the ranged users, I mean, lab assistant is also always a really solid pick. The 10 points it gets to start with is pretty nice, but sometimes a little unnecessary. But let's see. Yeah, that was it. Just those two. Everything else is kind of mid, not gonna lie. Like, the rest of the roles are not really worth taking, because for biomedical engineer, like, you could get +3 to first aid, but like, realistically in this game you don't use first aid as often as you might think you might need to. But also you could just train your first aid. Like, it's not so important to the game that that you would need somebody to specialize in it. But that's also, this is again only for the early, like, alpha playtest. Maybe in the future medics might be a little bit more, a little stronger once they have more perks and things, as things, once they let things level up past level 5. I'm pretty sure this might change. But for now, for the playtest, biomedical engineer, not really that good. Structural engineer also has the +3 in crafting. So you could theoretically, if you're being the homebody or the housewife, you could theoretically get the structural engineer. But structural engineer only gives you 7 starting points, which is kind of lackluster. So I personally think theoretical physicist is just the better version of it. So it's just kind of useless. You get plant geneticist, which gives you +3 agriculture, +2 cooking, and +2 strength. But it gives you it gives you 9 starting points, which might sound okay, but it's not okay, because you can take perks in the next page that will let you pretty much learn agriculture faster and cooking faster. So you don't really need to take the job specifically for it. You can focus on getting the theoretical physicist for the 3 crafting, and then getting the perks for everything else. Same thing for nutritional advisor, kind of mid. You really don't use sharp melee that often, at least not now. Like, there's no really good sharp melee weapons. There's the makeshift spear, which is good to an extent, but it's not good enough to specialize specifically in sharp melee. The defense analyst, I think, is complete garbage. The stats look nice, but then you see that you only start with 5 starting points, and that's going to be really rough for your playthrough. Unless you're trying to do like a hard difficulty challenge, then, would be. But, at that point, just go summer intern and get no perks and just have nothing. So, yeah, anywho. For this one, I'm going to just go ahead and pick the kinesiologist from this play run. No, actually, sorry. I should probably pick the theoretical physicist, since I'm the only person here, and having this +3 crafting is pretty nice. So we're going to go into the perks next. Right, so in the perks, you have to figure out which perks work best with the role that you've selected in your party. You have the, like I said, you have the homebody, the housewife, the one that is focused on the crafting, cooking, and agriculture, along with the storage organization. They're responsible for those 4 things. And for that, you'll have the gardener perk, right? For example, the gardener perk allows you to gain experience for agriculture twice as fast, and you can receive the basic recipes for garden stuff, like, from the beginning, which is pretty nice. But it's not too nice, right? The recipes aren't really that like big of a deal to start with, because realistically you don't really have anything to plant anyways until like about maybe 40% through the playthrough, maybe 20%. I mean, you could theoretically speedrun straight to it, but like, it's not something that's so detrimental that you need to. But we're gonna go through these one at a time. Starting from the top, Decathlon competitor, right? So at first glance, this might seem really like good, and for some cases it is. But on the other hand, it's actually not that great. So it has a cost of 5 points. That's pretty heavy for the cost. Now it does give you +3 sprinting, but that is kind of trash because sprinting is super easy to train. All you have to do is literally run around anywhere and it will give you experience towards sprinting. And so you will easily max out your sprinting very quickly in any playthrough, on any class, on any character, doesn't matter what you are. If you're running around, you are going to get a level 5 sprinting easy. But the only reason why somebody else might want to pick this is if they also want to train their strength and their throwing, but also like that's kind of split, right? Because throwing isn't really the niche of the melee users, because melee users are pretty much the ones that want to use the strength. They're like the unga bungas, you know? So it's kind of like a garbage perk. You can take it. It's not the worst perk. It's still an optional thing, right? You could take it, but it's like, I feel like it's a noob trap, you know? It's not really, it looks better than it actually is. Wrinkly Brain Meat, however, is actually amazing. At least for like a long playthrough. If you're planning on doing a long-term playthrough, Wrinkly Brain Meat is really good. If you're just looking for like a quick, derp around whatever, don't get this. But Wrinkly Brain Meat is also really good to pair together with the crafter, right? So if you assign the theoretical physicist, with the crafting, and then they're gonna gain crafting 20% faster, with their experience, it'll make sure that you get to the the high level bench upgrades much earlier in the game, which is pretty nice. So Wrinkly Brain Meat is good, but is also unnecessary, because if you go through a long playthrough, you could always just train, the stat. I'm sure this is going to be a lot more helpful in the gameplay when levels can go past level 5 in the real game when it releases. But at least for now, up to level 5, it's not that hard to get to level 5 on any of your skills. So it's good, but it's not like game-changing good. At least not yet. I'm definitely assuming though that once the game hits and releases, this is going to be one of the top tier options that you should pick pretty much every time. Because I'm assuming that leveling up your stuff late game, when you have to level up to like 10 or 15, it's gonna take a while. So Wrinkly Brain Meat, very nice. Night Owl is kind of mid. You can just sleep. Like, becoming fatigued isn't really that big of an issue, and it's not like it's gonna remove the need for sleep in the first place. Like, if it was Insomniac and you don't have to sleep, then that would be worth taking. But because you just sleep half as often, it's like, doesn't really make that much of, like, sleeping doesn't make that much of an impact. It literally takes up like a few seconds of your time to just do a little mini game and sleep and remove your fatigue. So Night Owl is a trash perk, and do not take this perk for any reason. Maybe the only way I can see this being useful is if in the late game there's like no rooms and no, like, if you're like outside and there's nowhere to go that you can set up a base and you can't really put down a bed, then like that makes sense, because then you're not like fatigued as much. But as long as you have a base that you can go back to, like, you really don't need to worry about being tired with fatigue. Hobbyist Chef. So the Hobbyist Chef is good for the person who's going to be the housewife. It's unnecessary. It just gives you like double the cooking experience, which can be comboed with the Wrinkly Brain Meat, which is pretty nice for the homebody, the person who wants to dedicate to be the housewife and provide food and everything to the party. So hobbyist chef will definitely go for the theoretical physicist. Then you've got inconspicuous, which is kind of trash. It's just you attract enemy attention twice as slow as others, and plus 2 sneaking. Sneaking is not hard to level up, and just getting 2 levels in it is kind of useless. Not gonna lie, but the attracting enemy attention twice as slow might be really good for the squishier people in the party, like the theoretical physicists. So if you have teammates who are like your melee users, teammates are going to want to take the painfully obvious so that they attract enemy attention 45% faster than others. So if you combo those 2 things, where your squishies will take inconspicuous and your tanks will take painfully obvious, that way you can kind of like balance the aggro from the creatures. But from what I've experienced so far, inconspicuous doesn't really make that much of a difference. So it's kind of mid, especially because the fight doesn't really last that long, at least for the creatures that we fought so far. Right, the creatures that have been introduced to the game currently, they can pretty much mostly be 1-shot or at least like 2-shot, depending on what weapon you're using and if you're good at it. So the fights don't really last that long. So inconspicuous isn't really as necessary. Weathered currently is absolutely one of the most useless things that we can have, because literally temperature changes don't really affect your character in any way currently, and there's no going outside at this time. So weathered is not really that useful, although I'm curious to see like if it does anything else when you actually do get to go outside. Fanny pack, I will say, is really, really good. It is worth the 10 points to spend for this, because you're getting not only 2 extra inventory slots, you are getting 2 extra hotbar slots. So adding 2 extra spots to your inventory or to your bag space would have already been well worth the 10 points spent, but the fact that you can also hotbar those 2 things is like even that much better. So fanny pack, I pretty much tell everyone, especially if you're a hunter-gatherer, take fanny pack. The homebody, the housewife, they don't necessarily need to take fanny pack because they're not going to really be going out to gather materials or to do anything. They're just going to stay at the base pretty much the whole time. But for everyone else, fanny pack. And even then, the person who's the housewife can still take fanny pack because it can still be helpful. Like 2 extra inventory spaces is really, really good. Thick-skinned is really good for your Boonga Boongas, the melees, but not good for the theoretical physicist. And I mean, it can be okay for the people who plan to use range, like the crossbows. Like it's still okay because you're still gonna get hit sometimes. But like, it's not too game-breakingly different, and it's not really that hard to come across bandages. You can craft them out of cloth really easily, so bleeding isn't really that big of a deal. So thick-skinned is okay, but also like not too much of a game changer. First aid certification. So this one actually is okay, but is also not necessary. First aid, again, like I said earlier, is kind of an arbitrary concept right now. Like, medics don't really thrive currently. There's nothing to specialize in for that. But it's not necessarily bad to do, so, it's kind of like irrelevant. It's not useless, it's not useful, it's just irrelevant. Gardener, definitely something that the homebody wants to take. Then it pretty much just gives you the agriculture double experience, so you're basically the same thing as the hobbyist chef, but for the garden. Now the homebody getting double gardening experience, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, in the current playtest, the garden doesn't make that big of a difference. The main reason why you would have a garden in the first place is to pretty much plant antiverse wheat. So you could farm antiverse wheat faster, I guess, or slower, because realistically just going multiple trips on a regular basis into the antiverse to collect wheat is just way faster than planting antiverse wheat in the first place. But the gardens are kind of mid currently in the game. So gardening isn't too important. Let's see. But you could still take it because, you know, why not? You have Light Eater, which requires 20% less food than others. Not that big of an issue. They just get more food. Like, if you have a homebody preparing food and making sure that you have food supplied for everybody, then you're not really worried about, like, the food supply because you're good. You're chilling. Same thing goes with Naturally Moist. You're not really worried about the water supply. Especially when you learn about the water filter that you can build by the pool, which I'll tell you about in a bit. So Naturally Moist is kind of mid, doesn't really need anything. Self-defense, however. Self-defense is actually one of the really good options for the Unga Bungas. For the ones who have the melee options, I like to be the front line and do attacks with melee weapons. They're hunter-gatherers. Self-defense, doing 3+ damage to, you know, on your attacks is pretty nice. And it's on all melee options, so like it's melee sharp and melee blunt. It does cost 5 points though, but if I don't take this option, then I will take the other option. We'll get to the negative traits in a minute. Bladder of Steel, we actually don't want to reduce our toiletry needs. We want to increase our toilet needs because feces is actually a resource that you can use to craft other things, such as soil bags, which can be used to either make tripwire mines or gardening plots. So Bladder of Steel is actually a bad thing. It not only does it cost you 3 points, it also reduces your resource income. Now, the downside to pooping more often is that you get dirty when you poop. Right? When you don't poop in a toilet, I should say. You get dirty when you poop outside of a toilet. But the resolution to that is just wash yourself, right? Because there is a way to basically get unlimited water supply, so you're not worried about water to clean yourself with. So just poop. Just poop more often so you can gather that feces, wash yourself as often as you need to, and you're good to go. Buff Brainiac. Pretty much everyone should have this. Like 15% more carry weight is really nice. Like you get to carry more heavy things and you can load up on more things in your inventory without slowing down. So Buff Brainiac is a pretty nice feature. Lead Belly I haven't tried, but it's also unnecessary because you could just cook the food or just filter the water, and it doesn't really, it doesn't really need to be like this. I could see this being an option if there's like levels or areas that are like there's no power, right? There's no like you can't have stuff there, like no base, no nothing. Like then yeah, Lead Belly could be nice, but for 8 points in the current playtest, it's not worth it at all. So you can see with the options that I've selected with for the homebody, this is for the housewife. Now the housewife doesn't necessarily need Buff Brainiac. I can take that off because I'm not going to really be gathering things. I'm just going to be crafting stuff. So I could also take off the fanny pack because remember I don't need the fanny pack, but it's nice to have it. So we're going to keep it on for now for a second. We're going to see how many points we can get to. So Fear of Violence, right? It says you refuse to engage with any combat related skills past level 5. And so if you're not the combat oriented character or the role, if you're the housewife, you're not going to be in combat, then you can have Fear of Violence to give for free pretty much, because if you're not going to be the one fighting and doing damage, then you don't need to have a higher accuracy, reloading, blunt melee, sharp melee, fortitude, or throwing. You're chilling. In addition, currently anybody who is playing the game during the alpha playtest should be taking this option at all times anyways, because you can never level up these things past level 5 during the playtest in the first place. So Fear of Violence is literally just a +4 points for free. Currently, when they do allow you to go past level 5 when they release more of the game, then you'll have to take that into consideration when you are changing things up. But we have Fear of Violence for free plus 4 points. Because I'm the homebody and not really going to be combat-y, I'm also going to take Feeble, which gives you 5 additional points. It pretty much says that I have 25% lower max HP and my bones will break more frequently from falls and blunt trauma. Which is perfectly fine because I'm not going to be falling and I'm not going to be taking blunt trauma. So, it's pretty much a free plus 5 points. Now, we have Narcoleptic. We don't want this. We don't want to sleep more often. That is not good. Especially 75% more often. That is a no-go. That nobody should ever take that. That will be such a hard playthrough. Unless you like stock up on coffee, maybe. Right? You could counteract this with coffee machines, but you would need to spend money in the game. Like you collect money in game and you spend that money in the coffee machines to get coffee. Asthmatic, you lose stamina 40% faster than others. This could be fine for the homebody if you're not planning on running around a lot, but asthmatic, like pretty much losing your stamina 40% faster than everyone else, that's pretty rough. That means you're pretty much gonna run out of breath when you're running. Like, you can pretty much run half the distance that you normally run. Right, that's pretty much what that means, like, about half. Painfully obvious is if you want to attract enemy attention faster than others, which for melees, Unga Bungas is pretty much a free plus 3 points. But for the squishies, don't take this because you might get targeted during combat. Hearty Appetite. If you are hungry 60% faster than others, you know, that's not a good thing. You're pretty much eating twice as often, and it's already like, food is not necessarily scarce, but it's also not necessarily like plentiful either. So eating too much is not a good idea. Until the game gives you like a consistent food supply, like an unlimited food supply, I would not take this. Dry skin is also the same concept, but for thirst. I don't think it's worth the 3 points to make you have to drink 20% more often, basically. It's just not worth it. Like, even if you can solve it with the unlimited water supply, having to stop to drink something is not optimal. Because then you also have to consider carrying drinks on you, and that's going to take up inventory space. Or you have to set up like drinking stations throughout the map, and that's just like, that's a hassle that's not worth the 3 points. Now, Slow Healer is something that I do take sometimes. And Slow Healer, especially for the homebody, is fine because you're not planning on taking very much damage in the first place, and even if you do take that much damage, your healing isn't that much slower. And especially once you get the bench upgrades for the Oxo Healer that allows you to regenerate faster while you're in the area based on the number of plants in the area, then you don't really need to worry about health regen. Health regen will increase and be counteracted. Plus, you can also always use the syringe, the healing syringe. So you're not really too worried. Pretty much everyone can take Slow Healer and it's fine. Then Slow Learner is not a good option because you learn 20% slower. And then you also can't learn recipes that people share. Right, that's terrible. I don't know why anybody would do that, unless you're trying to make things difficult. Hemophilia, you are twice as likely to bleed from a wound and potentially quite severely. So because I'm the homebody, I could take this. Right, I'm not planning on being in combat very much, so that's an extra 3 points so far. And then Weak Bladder. Always take Weak Bladder. This is so good for everybody. Like, Weak Bladder is so nice. You want this, even if you just get plus 1 extra point and you can't spend that 1 point on anything, don't worry about it. Getting Weak Bladder is gonna give you the additional feces that you need to craft more things, so take it. And with that in mind, the first tip here is, when you have to use the restroom, do not use the restroom in a toilet. Instead, you can take a dump anywhere. You'll get dirty, so you'll have to wash yourself, And if you have a plastic scrap in your inventory, you can then pick up the feces that you drop down. And when you pick it up, you now have a bag of feces. And you can use that to craft into tripwire mines from your soil bag. So it crafts into soil bag, which crafts into tripwire mines, and crafts into the garden plots. So there we have it. This is a good build for the theoretical physicist, but you can see I have 4 extra points to spend. So I could take something else. Now, if I wanted to, I could drink less often, which can be useful, can be nice. Or I can eat less often, which is also really nice. I can also sleep less often, but that's not as nice because I'm always in the base. And drinking less often isn't necessary because we have unlimited water supply when we have the water filter. So, what should I get then? I mean, I could go for first aid certification, so I can make sure that I start with 5 bandages, and I can just, have +3 first aid as well as the other things that I have. And if I take it, look at all the stuff I have. But it's not really that important. So, I could go for light eater, I think, if we're gonna do this. Now, I could also opt to just not have anything and just remove the slow healer, and just have this extra point, or I can keep slow healer, remove hemophilia, and get nothing else, just that. But I mean, I'd rather just have this because it doesn't really hurt. So we're gonna take inconspicuous, just because having that extra ability to make sure that the aggro goes to the other party members is nice in the case of stuff going south. So this is the build option if you wanted to get as much on the character as one time as you can. Now, that's if I was going to build this character, but we're gonna go back because we're not gonna build that character because this isn't gonna be a server that I'm gonna play on. I'm gonna currently now show you what I would do for the melee option people. So we definitely want to have self-defense, we want buff brainiac, we want the fanny pack for sure, and thick-skinned is also an option. So we definitely have weak bladder, slow healer, painfully obvious, and now you can see a problem. We have too many points spent and not enough. Everything else here is not good to take. So we have to get rid of 6 points worth of stuff. And that's okay. Thick-skinned isn't really that important because bleeding injuries don't make a big difference. Now we just need +2 points. But we can do hemophilia to get those 2 points back. And then boom, we're good. Now, just because I am not going to save this playthrough, this is just for me to run around and show you stuff, I'm not going to eat all this stuff. I am going to take the fanny pack. I am going to take this. I'm also going to take the fear of violence and the feeble. And oh wait, I'm not going to take feeble. I'm going to take decathlon competitor, so I can sprint faster earlier. And buff brainiac. And then I have 4 more points for the whatever, and I'll just get wrinkly brain meat just cause. Looks good to me. We're gonna go in, and I'm gonna show you some things. So when you first load in, you're gonna be in the cafeteria.
I don't think...
You're gonna talk to this guy.
You're stuck here too, eh? I
grab stuff from there, open this door up. Now in here, there's metal scrap and a duct tape. There's duct tape on the shelves.
Overreacting again.
There's a calculator on the floor. Tape on the shelves. You're gonna dismantle this. There's duct tape in this in this vent.
He knows what's happened, but take your time.
And oh yeah, if you guys can hear the fireworks going off, kind of ignore them a little bit. There's stuff here. I'm also gonna show you in here. If you keep going this way, some of you might have already seen this, but there is a big spinning fan right here. If you try to pass through there, it will kill you. And the thing is, the trick to this is come here when the power is off at night. And when the power is off, the fan stops spinning and you can crawl through that area there. There's a little vent at the bottom there and you can drop down to the next room. In that room, you'll have to fight either a peccary or one of the smaller ones and a carbuncle. And when you do, you get through there pretty easy. There's a door on the other side. There's 2 doors in that room. The first door will lead you to the cafeteria, which you can unlock from that side and then access that room at any time. The second door leads you to another room, which allows you to actually get an anvil much earlier in the game compared to what you would normally have to wait for. Okay. You also want to make sure you dismantle these metal vents, because you get free metal scrap from it. So, coming through here, you get a free roll of duct tape from that. You're gonna grab your screwdriver from the toolbox. Now sometimes it spawns like duct tape and stuff in that toolbox, but we didn't get anything but a screwdriver this time, and that's okay. We don't really need very much. You can dismantle these to take the materials, but it's not really that important. I am gonna show you, okay, if the ladder will work. Love it. This is the jank that they were talking about. Okay, we're not going that way. There's a flashlight here, and we are now in this room. Alright, so we want to take these desk lamps whenever you can. If you ever see these kind of computers, you're going to go into them, open the emails, and click on anything that's here, and it will give you recipes sometimes. And it also gives you some pretty nice lore tidbits. There is also a secret vent area. Whoops. There is a secret vent area that most people don't know right here. You can come in through here, grab some free duct tape, and you can crawl to the vent. Okay, there's a duct tape here. Let's grab. Got a hammer from that toolbox, which is really nice. Some more duct tape. Now there's a sidestepping technique that you can use when you're fighting these guys, which you can see me doing right now. Kind of like walk towards them and to the left a little bit, and then you swing when you can collide with them. If you can come. Sometimes you miss, but sometimes you went low that time. That was weird. Alright. Let's take this food. Open this.
Hello? Over here.
Now this is also a lot easier to do when you have like a desk leg or
You're going to leave me
the
standing
upgraded
here?
desk leg. Gonna open that door. I've talked to this dude.
Oh, you're new. Looks like that little pest damaged the power system. Can you get someone to fix it? But hurry,
Okay.
would you? I'm not enjoying standing around out here. It was hours last time, and I don't feel safe at all.
You're gonna grab the stuff in this room, mostly with duct tape.
Important to remember that
Nobody wants to hear that television going. Open this door from the inside. I like to keep the medical supplies in these medkits, but I like to move the medkits into my base. Now, normally people will set up a base here in this room, but I don't think that that is optimal. I mean, sure, setting up a crafting table here for the beginning is fine, but anything... Okay, let me just do that. If you're trying to make your base permanently here, you're kind of, you know, shooting yourself in the foot a little bit. Because you're going to have to move everything later. So I typically don't set up too much here, but I will clear my inventory space a bit. We're going to put the extra tools in there because we don't need to carry those with us. I don't need this. So we are going to grab all these materials. And we are going to make our crafting bench. We need to proceed. Okay, so now that I have made the recipe for the crafting bench, I can actually make the crafting bench. And then I will place it by the outlet here. We're going to use our screwdriver to fix it up and make it actually built. Okay, and then what we need to do is power it, and we need to make an energy brick to open the door. Energy brick, if I'm not mistaken. Oh. Is it this? There we go. Energy brick, and then we just craft one. Okay, so now that I have a hammer too, so I can use the hammer to break. You right click on furniture to destroy it instantly, and it will give you the materials. So now I have a desk leg that I can use as a weapon, which is really nice because I don't like using a knife for the weapon.
Hurry!
Now this guy's freaking out. We're gonna put this here, and we're gonna have to fight a peccary. We like make him run up to you, and you hit him. Try to stay away from him if you can, because he'll take freaking cheap shots at you like that. Oh my gosh, my range is garbage with this. I'm so used to using the upgraded version of this. No, this is he's not gonna kill me fast enough. Okay, now that's just a glitch. But if we get it, yeah, there we go. We have the peccary head now. We don't need that. I will have to craft bandages. And we're gonna put that in there. I'm gonna make a bandage. Then I'm gonna use that bandage to recover. So we're not gonna be in this playthrough very much longer because I'm only gonna use this to show you something. So there is
Attention. Enhanced security protocols are now in effect.
To upgrade your bag
Please
space.
locate
Like right now I have like no
security
bag space. Look
and
at that. I
follow
have trash
evacuation
bag space.
procedures.
So there are a couple of places where you can look for some backpacks. One of those places is right over here in the locker room, which conveniently also usually has these helmets, which are good for now, but are not the most optional equipment, which we'll talk about equipment in a moment. Also, whenever you see these water coolers, you're going to want to package them and take them with you. And right here is the basic backpack. Now that's one of the two that's in this area. There's also a basic backpack this way. Not gonna go that way. We're gonna go this way. And there is a janitor's closet right here. Inside that janitor's closet on the shelf is the basic backpack. But instead of doing that, there is one more thing we're gonna show. I'm gonna put that down because I don't need it for this playthrough. Okay, so if we go through here, back into the locker room, we can go this way, and it brings us into this kitchen area. And across the kitchen is the offices. So this office area I guess I have to kill this guy. Or not. There we go. So some people will use the nets. I just sidestep them. Can I craft this without the bench? No, I can't. So you also want to pick up these standing lamps because you can craft those into the spears, which are really useful, but not important for this run, because in this run we are going. Oh, watch this. Goodbye. So you see that area over there? That's where we want to go. You go all the way to the other side. And you can come down here. And in this area, there is one of these guys. So you have to deal with him. But he's not that hard. You get some ice cream, you get another hammer, and a security backpack. Security backpacks give a lot more space. And it gives you weight reduction by 14%. Which is really nice. Now, the basic backpack actually has more weight reduction by 15%, but has a lot less carrying capacity. So 21 capacity compared to 18, those 3 spots make a big difference. You also get a soil bag and a plastic bucket from here. And this door is locked during the playtest, and there's nothing really that way, it's just a dead end. But that's just to show you where to get a security backpack really early in the game. I showed you the character creation, the party roles, the sidestepping, that when fighting. I've showed you the early security pack, and now we're going to show you where to set up a base location. So, you don't want to set up a base location in here because these guys will mess up your base and ruin your life. I've seen some people set up their bases in this kitchen, and that is suboptimal. It seems nice at first because the fridge is there, but you can just move the fridge. If anything, I've also seen some people set up their base here in the pool, but the pool is also suboptimal. So, where should you set up your base? Your first base, I should say. So in this game, you're going to want to move your base. Now, granted, your technical first base is going to be in that first room in the game where you start in, where you have the couch and the television and all that stuff. Technically, that's your first base, but we're not going to count that. The first base that you actually decide to place your base is going to be here in this location. Oops. Okay. And we got another one. Down here. This place right here. Ah, whoops. Okay, this place right here is where you're going to want to establish your first base. Now, what I like to do is I call this the mini base, because you don't want to set up your full base here. You just want to set up a temporary base, because you're not going to plan on staying here for the entire time that you are going to be here in this playthrough. You don't want to be here for the entire time. So this would be crafted into a spear. I usually line up my water coolers right here, and I keep the kitchen cabinet open. I just, once it gets to this point, I start putting them on this side. But you have all these kitchen cupboards to store your items in. You get this stuff. This spot here, I usually break this down and replace it with a crafting bench. And I put a battery here on the floor or on top of the whatever, and I plug this into the battery and plug the battery into the crafting bench. Then you have a crafting table pretty much at all times. Or I plug this into a power strip and then plug the power strip into the battery and the battery into the crafting table. And on this side of the wall, I put the repair bench. And I plug the power strip into a battery which plugs into the repair bench. That way I permanently have those things there at all times. And you have this entire room to work with for space for setting up your stuff. I usually put the bed right here, and the lead vest is okay. You get a lead vest here, it's pretty good early. It slows you down. You can see I've slowed down a little bit because it has a lot of weight. You want to pay attention to your weight. But yeah, this is where you want your first base to be. And now that we've covered that, we're going to talk a little bit about some food things. So you're going to notice that some food has this little green bar underneath it, and that's because that is the decay that food has. That is basically the shelf life duration. So once that green bar goes all the way down, that food will turn into like waste. Not bioscrap, but like waste. So you can scrap it into bioscrap, but it will very much be like garbage. So you want to make sure that you're eating your food before it expires. Make sure that you're utilizing the full expiration time for your stuff, and you can extend the duration of your food by putting it into a fridge that is powered. Now, there are some rumors that I've heard about how your refrigerator, when not powered, actually speeds up the expiration time, and I thought that was interesting. I haven't tested it personally, but I have heard that is what is a thing, and I kind of feel like that probably makes sense. I've also heard, though, that these trash bins, these facility trash bins, if you put food in there, that it also acts as a fridge where it like extends the duration of its expiration time. Not only that, but also those trash bins, smaller ones. These small trash bins. So apparently trash bins function similarly to refrigerators, and they don't require the use of power. So now that that's done and out of the way, we are going to show you guys what we're going to delete this server because we don't need this. We're going to go to my my main server so I can show you some more things. And this is where things are going to get fun. So this is our base, the way that we have it set up currently. It's not 100% organized just yet. We're still in that organization phase, but we are now set up in the security room, which is on the second floor. So, to show you where we are, you will see we head this way. This is where we just were in the last server, right here. We have this biolab right here. We had everything set up in here, and then we vacated the area. Also, a little fun tip, when you're sitting in an office chair, you can actually move around and roll around in the chair. It's pretty fun. You get to pretty much be Professor Xavier. But, yeah. We've just moved down this hallway towards this electric wire that is hanging from the ceiling, and around this corner, and then bam, we are now at the security. Now in order to get in here, you need to hack the keypad with a hacking device, which looks like this, the keypad hacker. You can craft it by collecting the bot CPUs. You'll need 4 bot CPUs in total, and you need to collect them by destroying the robots that spawn at nighttime. Or you can force them to spawn by attacking their things. You attack them while they're like in their stasis, and then it'll be like a meter, and once you've depleted that meter, it'll spawn one, and you can fight it. So, what I like to do, as a side note, wherever your base is and however you like to organize it, doesn't really matter too much, but what I do like to say is these first aid kits are really nice. I like to have these first aid kits on the wall at the entrance of the base. So whenever you first walk in, first aid right there. You have splints, and you have bandages and healing syringes. Now, the iodine tablets, I keep in another first aid kit by the kitchen, where you cook and have the food storage, because you will be more likely to become irradiated with radiation around your food. So, keeping your iodine tablets here or your orange syringes handy there in a med kit. So, keeping your medical supplies in these first aid kits are really nice. It's a nice way to keep your medicine organized and not let it get lost in the jungle that is your storage system. Speaking of which, storage systems, filing cabinets, the huge filing cabinets are godsend. Like, these things are amazing. You get so much storage space in these places. It is absolutely absurd. Okay, so you're gonna notice that I'm being spammed by "you're in a safe place," relatively speaking. And that's because I actually have 3 crafting benches in this base, and that's because we have the warmer from this one and the warmer attached to this one to provide heat to the garden. Now, the garden has been like already harvested, so there's nothing in there right now, but we did craft the antivirus.
I was not made for this.
Or planted.
Getting
Now,
thirsty.
we don't want to stay there too long because it will make you hot. So, we have our watering coolers lined up here. You can just drink as much as you want, and that's fine. So, we also notice that we have all of these plants just chilling in the area. That's because this one also has the Deoxo Healer. The Deoxo Healer is a bench upgrade. So if you go to crafting bench, in the top right corner it says bench upgrades. The Deoxo Healer allows the bench to passively heal nearby players. The more plants of any kind nearby, the faster the healing. The Item Transporter is an amazing and legendary crafting bench upgrade. Item Transporter allows the bench to automatically access nearby containers when crafting recipes, which is like, you don't have to have things moved into your inventory space to craft it. You can just have a filing cabinet or a bunch of filing cabinets filled with a bunch of different items, and whatever you need to craft can just be crafted from that. The bench warmer allows you to just have a heated area, so when it's nighttime and it's cold, or if you're in a cold climate, the bench warmer will increase the heat area. Now, of course, there's reinforced bench, but you can't get a refined carbon or a reinforced wooden plank because those 2 items don't exist in the game at the moment. Portal suppression field, you need the raw extra hearts, which we can get, but you can't get the antivirus gems. They don't exist in the game yet. This doesn't even exist at all. But the metabolic temporal field, it pretty much reduces the rate at which you grow hungry, thirsty, or tired while you're in the area of the crafting bench, which is why we were planting antivirus wheat. We're harvesting it until we can, craft it, because it takes 50 of them. But for the most part, that is the base setup. I mean, we do have our locker rooms for additional storage for like extra equipment and gear, or whenever somebody wants to jump into the game, we've got gear for them. We have our couch area for 6 people to sit down, and we have a bed for people to sleep in. Pretty much what you want to do with this setup is you want to make sure that you have as many filing cabinets and plants around your crafting bench as you possibly can fit. And this is all within the area to make sure that the Deoxo Healer heals faster and the crafting bench can pull from all of these storage units. Now, when you also upgrade your stats, you're going to notice that your crafting level at level 5 gives you the ability to access nearby containers when repairing items, which is also really nice. So leveling up your crafting, if you plan to repair your items frequently, you can literally just click, boom. And I don't have to have the items in my inventory to repair them. They just repair because I have level 5 crafting. And the materials are coming out of these filing cabinets. So, you have a charging station, and what I also recommend, which is something that my friend Crowdellum has suggested to me, is that you keep a filing cabinet. Ignore that bucket, but you keep it, and ignore this hammer. You keep a filing cabinet filled with the chargeable items, and then when an item is done charging, you place it in here. Now, if my vacuum ran out of energy, I can just set it on the charger and pick up another one. I don't have to wait for it to charge to use it. I just rotate it out. So that's another tip that you can do. Now, these shock traps, all these traps we're going to talk about in a bit later. Actually, no, we'll talk about it right now. So whenever things spawn, especially during a storm, sometimes they will spawn in your base. And so we've set up these traps to stop these creatures from attacking our stuff like they have. This is obviously being broken up because they've been there. So we set these shock traps and the tripwire mines to stop them from doing it. And we have this little fun lever. So if I pull the lever, it will turn on these fans, and anything that is touching those fans or comes into contact with them will get absolutely obliterated. And I can turn this off at any time. Now, I am going to show you the water filter next. So if we head back down to the locker room / pool area, straight to the pool. I heard a peccary. I don't see a peccary. Oh, there he is. Oh, bad. Okay, he did. Okay. So, anywho, this is our water filter. You're gonna notice that all of these buckets are filled with water. Oh, I'm gonna take the water. Typically, what you would do is any of your empty water coolers, you would set them down here on this side, and you would pick up the pot, put it in your hand, and you would just press F to fill. So you would dump the water out of the pot and into the water cooler. And then you would go to the pool with the empty pot, pick up some water, and put it back on the stove, which will then start boiling and cleansing the water. So you can take all of these pots to fill up one water cooler. I think it actually might take a little bit more than this. I think it needs one more. But this is 2, 4, 6, 8. Maybe, I think if I forget if it requires 7 or 9. But it definitely requires... Oh no, I broke the glass. That was not good. I didn't mean to break the glass. I didn't mean to break the glass. Oh no. Okay, so you don't want to break that glass because this door and that window are what protects your water filter system. And you don't want things spawning in here and attacking your stuff. Okay. I mean, this is a portal storm, so it's a rare occasion that these are going to be spawning in here. But you definitely don't want these, enemies attacking your water filter system. And that's why I put the crafting bench, because it gives you the home sweet home, you're in a safe place relatively speaking effect in the area, which pretty much keeps it safe for the most part. And that's pretty much how you solve your issue with water supply. You just set up a power strip, you plug the outlet into the power strip, you plug the power strip, one of them goes into a battery which plugs into the crafting bench. Then the next one plugs into a battery which plugs into the stove.
Good evening. It is 8 p.m.
Okay.
This sector will be powered down momentarily.
Plugs into another power strip,
if you have not already evacuated the
which
facility,
goes straight into 3
consider
batteries.
this your top priority. Have a wonderful and productive evening.
I'm in the middle of something here, announcer lady, can you not? Alright, so you have the 3 power strips here that plug into 3 batteries to supply power to the 3 other stoves. Now, why do I put these batteries? Is so that way these can run any time of the day, any night, it doesn't matter. This is pretty much the optimal setup. You plug something into a battery and then plug the battery into the thing that you want to power. That way you don't have to worry about nighttime not having any power. So that's that. We're also going to talk about vacuums. So with a vacuum, you are able to break apart objects and computers and things and harvest the loot from it. Probably not going to find anything in this area. I'll probably have to go to the office for that, but pretty much you just point, click, that's it. Pretty simple. Maybe there's something in here. We've already looted this whole area. Yeah, you can break apart the you can break apart computers and towers and all kinds of stuff with the vacuum. Oh, and these two. Here we go. There's an item that you can break. You break it and you can suck up the loot. You can also use the vacuum to grab one of these dudes and you can literally launch him at another enemy. Oh, where's he at? Okay, that's not good. We are going to run. We do not want to mess with two peccaries and a dude in the dark. So instead of messing with them, we are just going to close the gate and turn on the fans. Now what's cool about this gate is that you can also just stab them in the face. When they poke their head through the fence, you can just stab them and kill them. Okay. That was that. We can turn that off. And okay, let's see what's next. Whenever you are putting food into a refrigerator or into a container of any kind, you're gonna see, like I said, it has the expiration times. Do not, let's say I had these two carbuncles in my inventory and I wanted to put them into the fridge. Don't just shift click to stack them, because what will happen, let's imagine for a moment that these carbuncles were brand new. They had a full expiration meter, they were brand new, and the ones that are in the fridge are already this much expired. If I shift click to stack them in, and if I merge that stack together, all 4 carbuncles are going to have this much expiration. So even though they're brand new, their expiration time will drop down to whatever you stacked in. So whatever the lowest expiration time is, all of the items in that stack will then take on the lowest expiration time. So instead of shift clicking, you just click it and move it manually and put it in a separate slot. That's why you see these in a separate slot. These were all in one spot because we got all 4 of these at the same time. So they didn't really have a different expiration time. Okay, that's that. Let's see. Okay, stat training. So to train your stats, such as your strength or your sprinting, like sprinting is pretty easy, you just run around and boom, you can level it up. Strength, if you walk around with heavy weight, you know, you pick up heavier objects, and you know, like for example, I pick this up and then I pick up the chair. You can see that weight meter up here once your weight starts getting filled up. So pick up another chair and now my weight is in the yellow. While the weight is in the yellow and is not maxed out, do not max out your weights, but while it's in the yellow, you can walk around and it will give you strength experience. You can train your strength by walking around with weight, and you can still run around or sprint, and so you can sprint and carry weight at the same time to train your strength. sprinting and strength at the same time. But I don't need to because I've already done this. So we're gonna put my stuff back. Anywho, training your stats are really good. If you want to train stats like fortitude, you can actually like either just 1v1 one of your friends for a bit, you know, just beat each other up. But the best way to do it is to make each other bleed. Because if you're bleeding, you will take a damage every tick, and every time you take a damage, you will gain +1 experience from fortitude. So if you're bleeding and sitting down at the same time, you will regenerate and bleed at the same time. Now you ought to want to watch your health, you know, for this, because you can still bleed to death. Or if you have the deoxy healer maxed out like this, you can just have faster regeneration, not sitting down. But the point is, you're gonna want to train your fortitude by bleeding and or by just beating each other up in your base. Now don't kill each other, you know, make sure that you're not killing each other, but it is good to attack each other for the sake of training your fortitude. Which you can see mine has been trained up to almost level 4. Let's see, anything else that's important here? Crafting. Okay, so currently there is some ways to gain your crafting experience a little bit faster. So if you wanted, you could theoretically craft the nets. So you can see these nets. The nets will cost you 1 cloth scrap. So if I craft
Attention,
a net,
this sector is under
I now
precautionary
have 3
security
nets.
measures. Please remain in place and wait for security assistance.
Then I go to the repair station. I click the recycle option and I click on it. I have now turned 1 cloth scrap into 3 cloth scraps, which I can then craft back into nets. And repeat. And doing so will give you crafting experience every time. And now granted, you do have to click this one at a time, but I normally set it up here so it's faster. And so on. And you get a bunch of, pretty much you have infinite cloth scrap from that little loop. Now granted, I'm pretty confident that's gonna be nerfed in the game release. But on the offhand that they have some oversight, you just learn how to make infinite cloth and have unlimited bandages and unlimited nets, as well as level up your crafting level really fast. Now, I'm pretty sure this is going to be nerfed, and if it's not nerfed right away, I'm pretty sure once they catch wind that this is an exploit that you can do, I'm very confident that this will not stay in the game for very much longer. But for now, you can still use it. Now, I'm sure there's also going to be other options for things that you can craft. You can probably craft something and then break it down into the components that were used to craft it, and then recraft it again. You can keep doing that. And even if it's not an infinite loop or if it doesn't multiply the amount that you get, as long as you're going even, you should be able to craft something, break it down, craft it again, and break it down, craft it again, and keep repeating that cycle. Let's see. The next thing to go over is bot CPU farming. Okay, so if you are farming these bots, you could use traps. That is a really good way to farm the bots, using traps. Okay, I don't bother with. We're gonna go downstairs, all the way down to the first floor. Now I'm gonna use the makeshift spear. You can also use a crossbow or whatever weapon you feel comfortable with using, but normally there are tables here in this area. I'm going to show you guys like a cool little thing that I like to do. Now I'm not going to fight the full robot with this. I'm just going to show you the tactic and then run away from it. Okay, so you can get him to spawn. He's gonna attack you right away, and you're gonna kind of like bait him. You can poke him, back up, poke him, back up. Ah! And he dashed. Okay, so now I have the table in between me and him. You know, and I can hit him, and he can't hit me through that table. Now, right now it's just chairs. But as long as you have something in between you and him, he won't be able to get you right away. Or if you just keep sidestepping. You keep poking him and you keep sidestepping. Now granted, you could also just like freeze the dude and just get a couple of hits in. But once he unfreezes, he will freak you up. Now to freeze him, you would need to craft a slushy bomb. Can you stop, sir? Relax. I'm just educating people. Relax. So the key is to stay out of his range and like. You just kind of. Oh. Okay, now I'm dirty. Okay. We're just gonna freeze him again. Oh, you also don't want to freeze yourself. We're gonna need to move as soon as we're off the dash. Oh. Okay. There we go. And that's how you do it. Pick up your loot items. And this right here, the bot CPU, is what you want. Now, you can also waste your time breaking him. I mean, it's not wasting your time, but he does drop some other loot items, like materials for crafting. But I don't have a fixed knife at the moment, so I'm not going to waste that time. I am going to go right here, and I'm going to wash myself. And, yeah, that was fighting a robot with some cheese tactic. Now, I haven't tried using the net on the robot yet, but I'm assuming it probably works. You can also try nets aside from your ice bombs, but yeah, just having one person bait them around a table while other people freeze them or net them and shoot them with bows and with crossbows, or have a group of people all stabbing them with spears, backing away, like doing the sidestep shots. It definitely works. Getting 4 bot CPUs is important for the progression of the story, so do that next time you fight them. You also have food supplies. So for food, you just pretty much cook the things that you kill currently. Like once you level up your strength to level 5, you gain the ability to shake the vending machines. So if I wanted to, I could shake the vending machine by holding E, and it has a chance to drop a snack for me. Now it doesn't happen every time, but typically in places where there are more than one vending machine at a time, you can shake multiple vending machines and have them all going. I'm hoping at some point we'll be able to package vending machines and bring them with us to our base, because that'd be kind of sick, having a bunch of vending machines in the base that you can shake whenever you need a snack. But it's pretty RNG. Can I get a snack so I can showcase the amazing powers of shaking vending machines, please? Come on. Maybe I just go get a different vending machine, because this one's just wild, and this one just said, frick that, I ain't giving you nothing. Alright, well, we're gonna go shake the other vending machine that's at the start of the game. But that vending machine is not having it. Alright, so here we've got this vending machine and this vending machine. Okay, so we got a soda. really would like to get a snack. Wow, these snack machines are being very stingy now that I'm streaming. Okay. Well, if you believe me or not, you try it yourself, and you will find that you can get snacks from the vending machine for free by shaking them. There we go. And you can eat the chips, and it will fill your hunger. So that is one thing that you can do with strength when you level up to level 5. So that's also a form of food supply. Or of course you can just kill a bunch of these little pests and turn their food, or turn their body parts into food, which includes making the pest goulash. So there is a soup recipe that you can make by using the raw pest rump and the raw pest and putting it into some boiling water on the stove, and it will start making pest goulash. It's pretty good for filling up hunger and for thirst. So it's also it boils out the radiation, so you don't have to worry about being irradiated when you that recipe. So it's pretty good. Filling both hunger and thirst at the same time is pretty effective. But also just cooking normal food and just having iodine pills in case you get irradiated is pretty nice. Now, you don't really need the iodine pills because theoretically you could actually just like rest. You know, like you can just sit down and relax, and over time your radiation will go away by itself. Just like pretty much any of your status ailments, they will all go away on their own, including broken legs, all that stuff. So medicine, like I said, isn't really needed because you could just wait it out, but it's nice to have. Not bad. Alright, let's see. What else is there? Okay, so for your weapon choices and your armor choices, I'm going to bring up on the screen a list that I made. This is a list of all of the weapons and armors that are available currently in the game. If there's anything missing, it's because it's not important. So, this shows you that the strongest weapon in the game right now is technically the 9mm gun, but we can't use it. The game doesn't allow you to fire it because it requires a specific kind of armor equipment to function it, and that armor equipment item does not exist in the current playtest. So technically, while this is the strongest weapon in the game, it is not usable, so technically it's not. That makes the makeshift crossbow the strongest weapon in the game. It does a total of 26 damage per hit, but it has a durability of 18. Not too high. It's not too low either. It's pretty decent, but you also have to rely on having ammo, which you make makeshift arrows out of pens and some other stuff. So if you see pens, pick them up. They're good for your range users. Now, I don't recommend a full party of people, all 6, using crossbows, because you're going to be splitting up your ammo across all 6 people, and that's going to be a nightmare. I would say maybe 2 people being in the party, being ranged people, is nice, and then having 2 to 3 like melee options, and then 1 person being a housewife. You know, you have a balanced party, and you have consistent damage as well as range damage. You're doing good, right? That's a good setup. So the makeshift crossbow, while being the strongest weapon, is not necessarily always the best weapon. I personally prefer the teeth club with a damage count of 12 and only a weight of like 3.38 when you have the security pack, weight reduction. You get a durability of 15, so it seems like it's a lower end on the durability options, but it's not that bad because you can literally just go to the repair station and just repair it with 1 piece of wood, just like that. Boom, it's done. So, it's not that bad to use. Regarding your armor, though, I will say, make another note before we get to the armor. Pipe clubs, trash weapon. Don't use that. That is F grade. I would rather you use a screwdriver than a pipe club. No, I'm just kidding. don't do that. Pipe clubs are faster than the teeth club, and they do seem like they have more durability. They have 25 durability, whereas the teeth club has 15. But you attack 2 times with a pipe club in the time that it takes you to attack 1 time with a teeth club. Right, which might seem like better because you're attacking faster, doing more damage, but your pipe club will break a lot faster. Even though it has 25 durability, it will break a lot faster than your teeth club because it will take a lot more hits to kill something. Whereas a teeth club could pretty much like kill something in anywhere between 1 and 3 hits. The pipe club might take like 6 to 9 hits, and that's not optimal. So, teeth club, in my opinion, is better than pipe club. But the other option, I pretty much recommend always carrying a teeth club and a makeshift spear. Makeshift spear allows you to have a sharp melee option, which also allows you to cut things up and harvest its parts when you kill stuff. And also is a really good effective weapon against the bot CPU, as long if you're not using crossbows anyways. Everything else on that list is unnecessary. I mean, realistically, it doesn't really need to be gone over, because those are the weapons that you should be focusing on: makeshift crossbow, makeshift spear, teeth club, and that's it. So, regarding the armor, though, the absolute best armor for your helmet is the makeshift helmet. If you were ever wondering like which helmet to have for your build, or which helmet is better, makeshift helmet gives you 4 points of armor. So it gives you the most armor across all of the other helmets in the game. And it only has a 3.5 weight. Now, that is also including, having a 14% weight reduction. So take that, it goes a little bit more than that. But having 3.5 weight is really good. Like, not bad, because you can see compared to everything else is between 1 and 5 and 7. And the ones, though, are the chef hat and the Santa hat, which literally do nothing. So realistically, it's between 2 and 5 and 7. The other options are 2, 3, 5, 7. But 3.5 is not that big of a jump from the rest of them. And the fact that it also has 32 durability, which is basically double all of the other options and then some, except for the hard hat. The hard hat has 25 durability and 3 armor, but it weighs 7, and that's going to slow you down a lot, and you don't want that. So the makeshift helmet is definitely the helmet that you want to go for, which leads me to also another tip. Take the frying pans and make them into makeshift helmets. If you need to have more frying pans because you need to be able to cook food with the frying pan, you can craft a makeshift frying pan that will look like this. You can see the frying pan on the stove right here. I have a frying pan, a makeshift frying pan. You can put it on the stove and cook stuff. And it functions exactly the same as a regular frying pan. So you don't need to worry about, oh, we only get a limited number of frying pans in the map area that you have to find. That's okay. Make them into the makeshift helmets. It will be worth it, I guarantee. Which leads me to the next section. The best armor option for your chest, the best chest plate, is the makeshift chest plate. Honestly, the makeshift options for everything right now are the best options for all of your armor options. Giving you a 4 armor for 3.5 weight and a really high durability for all of them is really nice. Now the lead vest gives you 5 armor, but it has almost 5 times the amount of weight. With the lead vest giving you a weight of 15, it'll automatically slow you down when you're wearing it, and it only has a durability of 15. It is not worth it. For 1 extra point of armor, getting almost 5 times your weight value and almost half of the durability, it is not worth it. The absolute king of armor is the makeshift chestplate. Which leads me to the next segment. Storage. I mean, pretty much, you do want to have some level of organization, but at a certain point, when you have your when you have the perks that let you pull from the storage units in the area, your organization kind of goes out the window over some time, so it's not too important, but I like to keep things at least like somewhat organized, so it's not like pure chaos. Just in case if we do need to bring something with us or something like that, we can find it. So having some level of organization is nice, but this is not a good example. This is a chaos. Oh yeah, you can also stack filing cabinets on top of each other, if you didn't know. And you can also put plants on top of filing cabinets and lamps on top of filing cabinets. You can put stuff on top of filing cabinets and on top of other stuff too. So these wall torches are also really nice. They're pretty easy to make. If you don't know how to make them, you just go to the light and power wall torch right here, and you use a metal pipe, some glass scrap, and some tech scrap, and boom. These are things that you pretty much can consistently find all over the map really easily. And you can craft as many of these as you need, and you just put them on any surface, on any wall, and you just turn them on. They don't require power or anything. You just turn them on and off like a regular lamp, and they will function at all times. So that's pretty nice. You can use those to light up your area for your gardens. I personally am using 2 standing lamps and a bunch of other stuff, but I keep everything well lit, even at nighttime. We can also, having these wall torches spread out across the map is also helpful, so that when the power goes out, you can still see even when you're walking around in the dark, because so that's like a little tip that you can use. I think that's pretty much everything to go over. The yeah, I don't think I can think of anything else. But this also seems to be the best location for your base, just simply because it has this nice defensive cage that you can use to keep enemies out. You get 2 vending machines that you can shake up already in your base, or you can actually spend your money that you collect from the game. On it, you have a nice balcony with a cooking area that you can set up here on the balcony. You have a zip line that allows you to go straight from here down there to go up this elevator to go to the Antiverse. There's pretty much a really good, convenient location, at least for the duration of the playthrough. I'm pretty sure when more locations get added to the game, there might be better areas, and I know that there is another area in Silo 3 that some people might think is good to go there, but I don't think so. Even though they have 2 charging stations there, I don't think that's enough of a reason to leave behind all of this storage space alongside with the security gate that you have. Oh yeah, to set up this trap system really quick, I took this outlet, plugged it into a power socket, plugged it into a battery, which plugs into a lever, which plugs into another power strip, which plugs into the trap fans, the chopinator. And then in front of the door, I have a shock trap. And I do plan to put more shock traps all around the area here, just because they don't hit you or your teammates. They'll never trigger on you or your teammates. They will only attack enemies. That's really, really nice. So, with that being said, I believe we have covered everything that I can think of. Oh, hi Voodoo. Sorry, I didn't notice you in the chat until just now. But hi, thanks for stopping by. I hope that you are enjoying yourself and your time, and I hope all of you that have seen this learned something. That being said, I'm gonna cut the video here so that and upload it, have it not be too long. I think 1 hour and 36 minutes is pretty long. But maybe we'll make some like TikToks or YouTube shorts or something to highlight some of the things. So if this was helpful, make sure to drop a comment or join our Discord server. The link should be on my profile somewhere. And I will see you guys next time.